Hello and welcome to our presentation on the resolution of model conflicts within automated EA documentation endeavors. In this video, we will show you an abstraction gap resolver for arbitrary information models. Before starting with the actual demo, we will show you what an abstraction gap in a model is. The current research trend we are investigating is the automation of EA documentation. Thereby, the main idea is to utilize federated information sources in order to keep your EA repository up to date. The overall goal of these efforts is to reduce the required time for the documentation of the EA while increasing data quality. This slide shows a typical example within an enterprise that illustrates a model condition we refer to as an abstraction gap. Our recent survey results show that relevant EA information often is gathered from operative IT systems. Typical systems within an enterprise are infrastructure monitoring tools, enterprise service buses, or Excel sheets and comma-separate value files. Usually, we see that the lower the layer, the more fine-grained and the more structured the information gets. Information within these systems reaches from the business layer, for example, in the project portfolio management tool, via the application layer that you often see in an enterprise service bus, to the very technical infrastructure layer like uptimes and responsiveness. Now, the job of an EA team is to integrate all relevant information into a single, possibly consistent repository. This is done to provide a holistic information base for stakeholders and decision makers. These commonly use views, for example reports or visualizations, to analyze information. A challenge arises for the EA team when integrating information of different levels of granularity. We see different universes stakeholders act in. These stakeholders use models to describe their perception of reality from a specific point of view. In practice, although the models are related semantically, the level of abstraction differs such that these models cannot be integrated. For instance, when extracting information from an SAP PI system, you easily get a list of applications and relationships among them. However, the relationship to infrastructure components is neither part of this model nor the universe, since stakeholders in this universe are not interested in such information primarily. A similar observation can be made in Universe B for infrastructure information. Respective stakeholders are not interested in information about applications or business processes. The question, which application is hosted on which particular server, cannot be answered with the existing models. This leaves you with an abstraction gap in the model of Universe C. These stakeholders would highly benefit from this information. Now let us see how we may facilitate the conflict resolution in a federated model environment. This is Hybrid Wiki. It enables users to capture unstructured and structured information in a web-based Enterprise 2.0 collaboration platform. We already have imported information from SAP PI, namely a list of application components connected via this Enterprise Service Bus. As you can see here, an application component has a full text description and additionally structured information like, for instance, system size, cost, or complexity. Besides other entities, we imported a list of infrastructure components from the Nagios database. To overcome the abstraction gap, the EA repository manager already has extended the model by the new concept called infrastructure interface, which basically maps the application components to infrastructure components. To maintain respective values for this concept, the repository manager creates a conflict task. The conflict task is then configured according to the model changes made. This configuration creates an interactive visualization that can be sent to other roles that know the mapping of the application components to the infrastructure components. The proposed process first involves the data owner and then, later, if the data owner is not able to provide a mapping, the stakeholders. The data owner gets the task in a work list. Subsequently, the data owner can execute this task and see the interactive visualization. On the left, the data owner sees the application components, and on the right, he sees the node devices. The configured conflict resolution task is added to the work list of the workspace. The EA repository manager sees the task created in the workspace to track changes. We now change the role and switch to the data owner's perspective. With the configurations made before, the visualization provides a means to overcome the abstraction gap in a model. The data owner can execute assigned tasks. This opens an interactive visualization to manipulate underlying data. With the configurations made before, the visualization provides a means to overcome the abstraction gap in the model. There too, the data owner can now map application components to node devices via simple drag-and-drop operations. This way, the data owner can manipulate existing or create new relationships. That includes one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, or many-to-many relationships. Note that the valid drop targets are highlighted. In addition, the elements on the left and the right container carry an index with the number of relationships they currently participate in. Elements can also be removed from a relationship. The data owner continues the mapping process until he or she thinks all mappings are correct. Subsequently, our process continues to validate the mappings by stakeholders. This way, stakeholders can also contribute to the knowledge-intensive task and may correct flaws or add additional information. Conflict tasks are not only shown in a workspace to all users with write access, but also to logged-in users in a work list with assigned tasks only. When the task is executed again, the stakeholder sees the already created mappings and may review these. After that, the tasks can be marked as finished, such that the EA repository manager gets informed, or just deleted, which does not notify other roles.